Do you really want to know who you are? Because sometimes the past isn't just a memory. Sometimes it's a ghost coming back to claim you. A mysterious house, a necklace that never disappears, and a girl who was lost long ago, or maybe never was. Are you ready to uncover a truth you never asked for? Because sometimes the real nightmare is your own identity. Disclaimer: this story is a work of fiction created for entertainment purposes. It contains eerie themes, unsettling moments, and psychological suspense that may not be suitable for all audiences. Viewer discretion is advised. The first time I heard the voice, I thought it was just the wind. A soft whisper that curled around the corners of my bedroom late at night, calling my name so gently, it barely stirred the air. Emma. It sounded distant, like someone calling from a far room or from beneath the floorboards. I sat up in bed, heart pounding, ears straining. But the house was quiet. Too quiet. I had only moved in a week ago. A creaky old Victorian house that had been sitting on the market for months, untouched, unloved. The realtor had smiled a little too brightly when I signed the lease, saying it has character. What it really had was peeling wallpaper, cold wooden floors, and a suffocating stillness that seemed to thicken after sunset. I told myself I liked the charm. I told myself I could make it home. But I didn't sleep the first night. Or the second. Every wall seemed to hum with secrets. Every hallway groaned like it carried memories too heavy to bear. The basement door wouldn't open, and the attic had a padlock rusted shut. I tried to focus on unpacking, setting up my small writing desk in the corner by the dusty window. This house was supposed to be a fresh start. A place to get away from everything. But something was already waiting for me here. The third night, the whispers returned, stronger this time. They didn't stop at my name. I couldn't make out most of the words, but the tone was unmistakable, pleading, desperate. Come back, we miss you. My skin crawled. I searched the house, turning on every light, checking every room. Nothing. Not a soul. Just me, the flickering bulbs, and the walls that now seemed to breathe. The strangest part? I started feeling watched. Not just in the way anyone might in a new, unfamiliar house, but like something was behind the wallpaper, just inches away. Something unseen and listening. I could almost feel its eyes tracking me as I moved from room to room. One night, I placed my ear against the wall. My breath caught in my throat when I heard it, whispers, but not like before. This time, there were multiple voices. Children. A woman. A man. All tangled in static, murmuring in overlapping tones, calling out my name over and over. Emma. Emma, please. I told myself it was in my head. Stress, maybe. Or echoes from outside. I even slept with earplugs in. But no matter what I did, the voices found a way in. Through the vents. Through the floor. Through the dreams I didn't remember having. One morning, I woke up with dirt under my fingernails and scratches on my arms. I live alone. Then there was the photo. A black and white picture tucked between the pages of a book I never bought. It showed a family standing on the very porch of this house, but their faces were smudged. Like something had dragged fingers across them until they were just blurs. Only one detail was clear. The little girl in the photo wore the same necklace I found buried in the backyard. I haven't taken it off since. Last night, the whispering stopped. Not because it ended, but because it changed. It's not asking anymore. It's angry. It hisses my name, snarls it through the walls like a threat. I don't think it wants me to listen anymore. I think it wants me to answer. And tonight, for the first time, I will. But before I do, I need to know, why does the voice sound exactly like mine? As Emma stepped off the bed, the cold floor bit at her bare feet like ice, even though it was midsummer. She hesitated, the silence of the house pressing down on her chest. It wasn't the comforting kind of silence. It was dense, hollow, like the air itself was holding its breath. She walked cautiously into the hallway, the floorboards creaking under her weight. With every step, she felt it again, that strange warmth behind her, like breath on her neck. She spun around. Nothing. Just shadows clinging to the edges of the walls. Then she noticed the door at the end of the hallway. It was open. Emma was certain she had shut it. It was the only room she hadn't unpacked yet, and something about it made her skin crawl every time she walked past. But now, the door stood slightly ajar, as if inviting her in. She approached slowly, heart pounding, pulse echoing in her ears. From inside, she heard a faint sound, a soft scraping, like nails dragging across wood. She pushed the door wider. The room was dim, lit only by the moonlight filtering through the grime-covered window. The air was thick with dust, and the scent of old wood and something faintly metallic lingered. And then she saw her. A little girl, sitting on the floor with her back to Emma. Long black hair fell past her shoulders, tangled and matted. She wore an old-fashioned white dress, the kind children wore 100 years ago. Her fingers were moving in circles, tracing something on the wooden floor. Emma stepped closer. "Hello," she whispered, voice trembling. The girl stopped moving. Silence. Slowly, the child stood. And just as slowly, she turned around. Her face wasn't a face. It was smooth skin, stretched and pale, like clay that had never been carved. No eyes, no nose, no mouth. Nothing. Just a blank, chilling nothingness. Emma gasped and stumbled back, heart racing, but her legs wouldn't move fast enough. She turned to run, but the hallway seemed longer than before, stretching with every step like a cruel trick. She bolted down the stairs, nearly falling, clutching the banister to steady herself. When she reached the kitchen, she froze. The photograph. It was sitting on the counter now. The same black and white picture she found in the old book. Only this time, the faces were no longer blurred. They were perfectly clear. And one of them was hers. Emma stared in disbelief. The woman in the photo stood beside a man and 2 children. One of the children was the girl from the room. And there was Emma, smiling, wearing the same necklace she had dug out of the garden and placed around her neck days ago. But the photo was dated 1913. Her hands trembled as she picked it up. The edges were frayed. A small note was scribbled on the back, in faded ink. "She always comes back. No matter how many times we bury her." The kitchen lights flickered. The air grew heavy. She heard footsteps overhead, many footsteps. But she was alone. Or so she thought. The sound moved down the stairs. Emma backed away, clutching the photo like it could somehow protect her. Then came the voices. Not whispers this time, but full sentences, echoing from behind the walls. She remembers now. She opened the door. She should never have opened it. Emma ran to the front door, but the lock wouldn't turn. She twisted it, yanked it, slammed her shoulder against it, nothing. The old house groaned as if it was waking up. She heard the floor above creak again, and the slow dragging of something across the wood. It wasn't just the walls that were whispering now. The house itself was speaking, crying, laughing, breathing. And in the reflection of the kitchen window, Emma saw herself. Only it wasn't her reflection. The figure in the glass had her face, but it was smiling wide, impossibly wide, with hollow, dark eyes. Emma turned around. No one was there. Yet the reflection remained. Emma's knees buckled, and she collapsed to the kitchen floor, the photo slipping from her trembling hands. Her breath came in shallow gasps as the reflection in the window continued to smile, calm, knowing, as if it had been waiting for this moment. But outside the window, the night remained still. No wind. No movement. Only the reflection twisted into something she could not understand. Then came the knock. A soft, deliberate knock, 3 times on the inside of the wall behind her. Not from the door. Not from outside. From within. Her eyes started to the paneling. Silence. Another knock. Closer. This time from the opposite wall. Emma scrambled to her feet, backing away, heart pounding so hard it hurt. The lights began to dim slowly, not flickering this time, but fading as if the house was exhaling. Her phone. She reached for her phone on the counter. Dead. No battery. She remembered charging it fully just an hour ago. She tried to scream, but her voice caught in her throat. The silence was oppressive. The walls felt alive. Watching. Waiting. Then the whispers returned, but this time, they didn't just say her name. They murmured strange phrases she didn't understand, fragments in another language, or maybe in none at all. Words she felt more than heard. Her nose began to bleed. Just a drop, then two, falling onto the dusty wooden floor. The floorboards beneath her seemed to pulse with a low, rhythmic thump, like a heartbeat. Emma ran to the living room and froze. The mirror above the fireplace was no longer reflecting her. It showed a different room. A bedroom she had never seen. In that reflection, a man sat on the bed, head in hands, sobbing. The walls behind him cracked and bled. Then, slowly, he looked up and looked straight at her. Not the mirror. At Emma. As if he could see through the glass, as if they were sharing the same moment from two different places in time. She turned to run, then suddenly stopped. The attic door was open. It had always been locked. Rusted shut. She never even touched it. But now it hung open like a mouth inviting her in. From above, a dim yellow light spilled down the stairs. And something was moving at the top. A figure. Small. Then a voice, childlike, called down to her. "Mommy?" Emma froze. She had no children. Never had. But the voice triggered something deep inside her. A memory that didn't belong to her. A scent, lavender, smoke, soil. A scream, muffled and far away. She backed away, then turned and saw someone standing in the doorway of the living room. A woman. Dressed in black. Thin, tall, her long hair draping over her shoulders. Her eyes were hollow and red-rimmed, and she didn't blink. She didn't move. Emma's body locked up with fear, every instinct screaming at her to run, but her legs refused to move. Then the woman whispered, "You said you'd come back." The lights went out. Pitch black. Emma screamed. She scrambled backward, hands clawing at the floor, heart in her throat. And then, soft scratching sounds came from the walls again. Faster this time. Like nails. Or claws. All around her. The temperature dropped sharply, her breath now visible in the dark. The smell of rot filled her nose, damp earth and old wood and something worse. Then she heard her own voice. From behind her. "Emma, open your eyes." But her eyes were open. She turned her head slowly. Nothing. She was alone. But deep down, she knew she wasn't. Something had followed her when she dug up that necklace. Something ancient. Something tied to this house and to her. She didn't understand how or why, but the past was bleeding into the present. And it wanted her to remember. Suddenly, the old grandfather clock in the hall began to chime. Once. Twice. But the hands pointed to 3:17. It wasn't time. The chimes continued, unnaturally loud, echoing through the house like a warning. From upstairs, the voice of the child returned. "Come tuck me in, Mommy." And then, faint footsteps across the ceiling. She wasn't just losing her mind. She was being called back. To something that never let go. Emma pressed her back against the cold wall, her breath shallow, her heartbeat wild and uneven. Every sound now felt sharpened, each creak in the floor above, every whisper from the walls, every distant echo of her name. The air inside the house had changed. Heavier. Hungrier. It was no longer just watching her. It was reaching for her. She turned her head slowly toward the hallway. The attic door still hung open, but now the light above had gone out. Complete blackness swallowed the staircase, but she could hear something moving up there. Tiny footsteps. Not running, not walking. Crawling. Emma stepped backward, inch by inch. Her body felt like it wasn't hers anymore, her arms weak, her legs numb. The woman in black was gone from the doorway, but her presence still lingered like a cold imprint in the air. Emma reached for the front door once again, her fingers trembling as she clutched the knob. Still locked. Still cold and unmovable, as if welded shut. Suddenly, a loud bang echoed from the second floor, like a chair thrown against the wall. Then another bang. And another. Something upstairs was tearing the place apart. She clamped her hands over her ears as the crashing grew louder, angrier, closer. Then all at once, it stopped. The silence that followed was worse. Then a whisper came from right behind her ear, so close she felt the breath. "You were ours first." Emma spun around, but nothing was there. She stumbled backward, fell to the floor, her palms landing on the old photograph again. The ink on the photo had started to smear, not from water, but from movement. The faces were shifting, slowly twisting, their eyes rolling back, mouths opening wide in frozen screams. Emma screamed and dropped the photo, backing away on all fours. From behind her, she heard a dragging sound. She turned her head and froze. A child's hand, pale and thin, was reaching through the floorboards from inside the wood. The fingers flexed, searching. Another hand joined it. Then the faint sound of a lullaby, off-key and broken, filled the air. It was coming from underneath the house. Emma scrambled into the hallway. The house was groaning now, like it was waking up from a long sleep. The walls pulsed, the lights above her flickered violently. Then a gust of wind blew through the house, except none of the windows were open. The force of it knocked over a lamp, sending it crashing to the floor. Sparks flew. The lights went out again. Complete darkness. She stood in the pitch black, trying not to breathe, trying to vanish into the silence. Then a voice right in front of her face. "Don't forget what you did." The lights flashed back on for a split second, and in that flicker, Emma saw herself. Not in a mirror right in front of her. An exact version of her, face pale, hair wet, dress soaked in something dark. This other Emma was smiling. Tears streaming down her face, smile shaking, eyes wide with rage, or was it sorrow? Then darkness again. Emma ran, slamming her shoulder against the basement door. It finally gave way. She fell down the stairs, bruised and gasping, but alive. She clicked on the small flashlight from the shelf and pointed it around. The basement was not what she expected. The walls were covered in writing. Thousands of hand-scrawled messages, etched into the stone and wood. Names. Dates. "Please. Forgive me. Don't take her. We didn't mean to. Bring her back." It was like generations of people had been trapped here, all trying to confess or bargain with whatever lived inside these walls. In the center of the floor was a trapdoor. Emma shook her head, backing away, whispering no, 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 but even as she said it, she could hear the voice again, the child's voice from beneath it. "You promised, Mommy." Her flashlight flickered. The walls around her began to bleed. Not blood, but something black and thick, like tar, seeping from the carved words. The writing began to vanish under it. Then, with a slow, high-pitched creak, the trapdoor began to open on its own. Emma turned to run back up the stairs, but the stairway was gone. Nothing but a solid stone wall where it had once been. She was trapped. With them. And all she could hear now were the voices of the house. Dozens. Hundreds. Whispering. Laughing. Crying. Calling her name. Emma backed into the corner of the basement, flashlight trembling in her hand, the black liquid slowly creeping along the walls, swallowing the carvings, erasing the only evidence that others had suffered here before her. The trapdoor was wide open now. A slow, cold draft blew upward from the hole, carrying with it a terrible stench, damp soil, decay, and something she couldn't name. From the darkness below came a sound, soft at first, a lullaby. Off-key. Childlike. Familiar. She covered her ears. "Stop, please." Her voice cracked with desperation. But the singing didn't stop. Instead, a small hand reached up from the hole, then another. Then a face. It was her. A child version of herself, maybe 7 or 8 years old. Same eyes. Same scar above the eyebrow. The little girl stared up at her, lips quivering. "You left me," she said. Emma's breath caught in her throat. What are you?" "You were supposed to stay." The child stepped out of the trapdoor, barefoot and covered in dirt. Her eyes were glassy, dead. Her voice hollow. "You said we'd stay together forever." Emma stumbled backward, hitting the stone wall. "I don't know what you're talking about." "I never," the child screamed. Everything shook. The flashlight blinked out. Now in complete darkness, Emma tried to crawl away, but her hand touched something soft, fabric. A dress. Someone was standing in front of her. She looked up. A woman. The woman in black. Her face was different now, familiar. Too familiar. Emma whispered, "Mom." The figure nodded, slowly. "But you died." A low, distorted voice answered, "You did too." Emma froze. "I what?" "You never left this house," her mother whispered, face twisting into something inhuman. "They just let you forget." Until now. Memories slammed into her like a wave. A stormy night. Running barefoot through the halls. Screaming. Blood. The necklace. A hand pulling her under. She had drowned. No, buried. Under the floorboards. She looked down at her own hands, her arms. Bruised. Dirty. Rotting. No, I'm not dead." "Yes, you are," the child Emma whispered from behind her. The basement lights flickered back on, but now the basement looked new. Clean. Modern. And filled with people. Men in construction uniforms, digging up the floor. Police officers. A woman with tear-stained cheeks holding a photograph. Emma stepped forward, screaming, waving her arms. "Hey, I'm here. I'm right here." No one looked at her. She was invisible. Then she saw it. A small, rotting wooden box being pulled from the soil. Inside it was a body. Small. A child. Wearing the same necklace. Emma's mind fractured. That wasn't her. Was it? Then the woman holding the photo sobbed. She was only 8. 8. Emma looked again at the child version of herself beside her. And suddenly, it all made sense. She had been the girl in the photo all along. She was the one who died. All the memories false. Manufactured. Given to her by them, whatever lived in the house. They let her grow up inside their walls, feeding on her spirit, giving her a fake life, a fake identity. The adult Emma wasn't real. She had never escaped. Never lived. Just lingered. And now, the house was ready to bury her again. The walls groaned. The trapdoors slammed shut. The people in the basement above faded like smoke. The light dimmed until all that was left was the child, watching her, smiling. "You always come back," she whispered. And darkness swallowed her whole. What would you do in this situation? Do you think Emma will ever escape the house, or is she trapped there forever? Let us know in the comments. We're dying to hear your thoughts. Emma floated in complete darkness, weightless, but crushed by a heaviness she couldn't describe. Her body felt numb, like she was suspended between memory and death, neither alive nor truly gone. The voices had faded into silence. For a moment, she thought maybe this was it. Maybe it was over. Then she heard breathing. Close. She turned and saw them, the walls of the house forming again around her, only now they pulsed like flesh. Wet, rotten, alive. The basement returned, but twisted. The stone bled. The ceiling rippled. Shadows moved where there was no light. And in the center of it all stood the child version of Emma, her skin cracked, eyes black and endless, and her mouth stretched into a grotesque smile. "You tried to forget us," the child said, stepping forward. "I didn't know," Emma pleaded, trembling. "I didn't remember anything." "You made us suffer," another voice said. It was her mother's, but wrong. Too deep. Too sharp. Then Emma saw the others. All of them. The lost ones. Faces she didn't know but somehow remembered. People who had been taken by the house. Spirits twisted into horrors. And they were all blaming her. Their mouths moved in unison, whispering one word again and again. Stay. Emma backed away. No. No, I'm not staying here. You lied to me. You used me. The floor cracked beneath her. Hands shot out, grabbing at her ankles, wrists, waist, pulling her down, deeper into the earth. Let me go, she screamed, fighting, kicking, tearing her arms free. Her nails dug into the dirt, splinters cutting her skin. Her eyes burned with tears. I won't be part of you. The child Emma tilted her head. Then return what you took. Emma paused, breathing heavily. What did I take? The child smiled. And then, rising from the trapdoor again, came the necklace. That cursed necklace. The one she had unearthed. The one she had put on without thinking. It binds you to us, the child whispered. Return it, or stay forever. Emma's hand went to her neck. It was gone. The necklace was no longer on her. She looked down and saw it buried just beneath the dirt at her feet, glowing faintly. She dove for it, grabbing it with both hands, and suddenly everything screamed, the house, the walls, the shadows. The spirits howled in agony. The ground shook violently. Cracks split across the basement as light burst from the necklace. Emma shouted in fury and desperation, holding the necklace high. I'm not yours. I never was. The light expanded, burning through the shadows. The ghostly hands recoiled. The child Emma shrieked and dissolved into mist. The other spirits wailed, fleeing into the cracks in the floor and walls, trying to escape the blinding light. The house began to fall apart. Walls crumbled. The trapdoor caved in. The air grew hot, then freezing. A final roar of anguish echoed through the building as Emma collapsed to the ground, still clutching the necklace, sobbing, shaking, her throat raw. Then silence. And light. Emma opened her eyes and found herself outside. Morning. She was lying in the overgrown grass in front of the house. The real world. The sun was rising behind her, casting golden light over the street. Her body was bruised, filthy, but alive. Her hands still clutched the necklace, now cold and dull. The house behind her looked abandoned. Dead. Quiet. She stood, unsteady, and walked away. But just as she reached the gate, she heard something behind her. A soft giggle. She turned back. The attic window. A figure stood there. The child. Smiling. Then vanished. And Emma finally understood. She never escaped. She just passed it on. Emma walked slowly along the empty road, the early morning sun barely warming her skin. Every step felt like walking out of a nightmare she still didn't fully understand. Her clothes were torn, her skin bruised, and her hands still clutched the cold, lifeless necklace that had started it all. She had survived, or so she thought. But something inside her had changed. She glanced back at the house. It looked dead now. Windows shattered. Roof sagging. As if it had finally exhaled its last breath after keeping secrets buried for decades. The front door was wide open, but no wind passed through. Just silence. Deep, absolute silence. She wanted to believe it was over. For days after, Emma stayed in a motel at the edge of town, unable to sleep. Every time she closed her eyes, she saw the child version of herself, standing at the foot of her bed, saying nothing, just watching. Sometimes, she would wake up gasping for breath, convinced someone had been holding her down. Other times, she'd hear knocking, 3 soft knocks from inside the motel walls. She researched the house, digging into town archives, forgotten newspaper clippings, and police records. What she found made her blood run cold. The house had a long, hidden history. Children had vanished there as early as 1894. Families had reported strange dreams, mysterious illnesses, and worse, violent outbursts, memory loss, entire years forgotten. One story told of a girl named Amelia who disappeared in 1913. Her photo was identical to the one Emma found in the book. Identical to her. Same scar. Same necklace. She had never been Emma. She had always been Amelia. The house hadn't trapped her. It had created her. A spirit molded into something almost human. Allowed to grow, to live in illusion until it was time to remember. Until it was time to be pulled back into the cycle. But somehow, this time, she broke it. Or at least, she thought she did. On her 7th day at the motel, she tried to throw the necklace into a river. She stood on the bridge, hand trembling, heart racing, and she dropped it. But it didn't fall. It hung in midair for a second, then vanished. Just vanished. No splash. No sound. That night, she dreamed of the house again. But she wasn't inside. She was underneath it. In the dark. In the dirt. And something was whispering in her ear. "You're not done yet." When she woke, the necklace was on the table beside her bed. Perfectly clean. Glistening. Waiting. She didn't touch it. Couldn't. Just stared. Then her phone buzzed. An email. No sender. No subject. Just a photo. A house. Not the house. A new one. But with the same attic window. Same porch swing. Same creeping ivy on the walls. And a short message below it. "She's moved in." Emma's breath caught. The curse hadn't ended. It had simply moved on. The house, whatever it was, had found someone new. And Emma? She wasn't free. She was next in line. She didn't know what to do. But deep in her chest, a small voice whispered, "You'll go back." And somehow, she believed it.